more studies before the FDA can approve marijuana as a prescription medicine.
But they won't do those studies, will they?
Well, there are some studies going on right now in California, and ultimately these studies might add up to prescriptive access for marijuana, but it's going to take a long time, and the government does its best to block these studies, so they're talking out of both sides of their mouth. They say there needs to be more research, and then they block the research. But I think the key thing to take away from this is that the FDA is right. If you want to get marijuana through the FDA approval process, you have to do a couple of more very expensive studies. So the FDA didn't tell us anything we didn't already know. They didn't create any new law or any new policy. It was really just a political statement. It was basically a middle finger to our movement.
Yeah, that's what it come across. That's for sure. Well, tell us what the NPP has coming up in the future. You all have a national meeting also. Is that this summer?
Well, we have a training, invitation-only training workshop.
I see.
And then we're having a fundraising gala on June 12th in New York City, and we will have an annual gala. And then we also we just had a fundraising party at the Playboy Mansion, and we will be doing that every year also. So we don't do conferences as much as we do fundraising events so that we can get the fuel, the cash that we need to continue our lobbying.
Right, right. Rob, is there, how many people are are working for MPP as employees, if you will? You have volunteers, and then you have people that are actually on the payroll.
Right. So in addition to the 26 full-time staffers that I mentioned earlier, there's also 3 interns. We obviously have a fleet of volunteers, and we have lobbyists on retainer in 5 state capitals. And so those lobbyists, depending on when we pass the bills, we don't necessarily have lobbyists in any state capital for more than a couple years. We're constantly shifting from state to state. So that would be the extent of our sort of team. But then we also have 100,000 email subscribers who, as you pointed out, use our system to communicate easily and effectively with their legislators. And we have 20,000 people who have donated to MPP at least once, with about 8,000 of them current dues-paying members, meaning they've donated in the last year. So if someone's interested in getting involved, the easiest thing to do is just to visit npp.org and subscribe to our email list. Right. Beyond that, I would say send letters to your legislators, which is very easy to do on our website. And then, of course, joining NPP for $25 or $35 would be very much appreciated.
Right. Well, our audience is in the Louisville, Kentucky area, and I know that back years ago, hemp was grown quite a bit in Kentucky. In fact, for World War II, they officially grew hemp in Kentucky. But I'm not even aware of what initiatives may be taking place in Indiana, Kentucky. I've tried to get Gatewood Galbraith to put something into action, but after his last run, I'm not really. His action on the marijuana issue has been tied directly into his campaign for governor and so forth. And then when his campaign's over, it seems like it kind of, diminishes the excitement about the issue. And are you aware right off the bat of anything going on in our area?
Yeah, I am aware of what's going on, and that is unfortunately nothing. We try to get a bill introduced in the Kentucky legislature to tax and regulate marijuana like alcohol. Unfortunately, that bill was not introduced this year. Maybe it'll be introduced in 2007. That would be huge if that bill were introduced, because there's only one bill in the country like that, and that bill is in Vermont, which is one of our target states. So that's hopefully something in the future for Kentucky, but right now there's nothing going on. In Indiana, there's nothing, and there will be nothing going on. And if I would speak to Ohio, Ohio, there is a medical marijuana bill pending in the state capitol, and there might be a move to run a statewide medical marijuana initiative, which, if that happens, it would be on the 2008 ballot in Ohio.
Is there an international arm to MPP? Do you interface with what's going on, or try to influence policies? And
nope.
Strictly USA?
Yeah, we keep an eye on Canada, but we don't really do any real work. I'd like to say that the measure of a good activist is how many times they're willing to say no to a project or project idea.
Really?
There's a lot of good projects out there, not only like I was talking about with direct service for marijuana users who get in trouble. Working on internationally would be important. There's a lot of projects I could list that are important that we're not doing. That's just because we're focused. We can only take on, with a staff of 26 people trying to take on the entire nationwide war on marijuana users, you can only handle about a dozen projects at any one time and do them well.
Yeah, you guys have to be really lean and mean.
Yeah.
Let me say this, it seems like that you all have been able to get through to people like Montel and Melissa Etheridge, and are there other people that have high visibility that have been involved with MPP?
We haven't gotten through to Melissa Etheridge yet, although we're trying. Montel does, Montel Williams does work closely with us, and he'll be actually at our gala in New York on June 12th. And then there are other people who are on our advisory board, like Bill Maher, Jack Black, Ani DeFranco, Jocelyn Elders, who's the former Surgeon General, Jesse Ventura. We have a whole host of people on our celebrity advisory board. Some of them are active with us, like Montel, and some of them are kind of just names that want to just add their name to the cause. Although I suspect that all the people on our advisory board will do something to help. Probably, Ani DeFranco will probably end up doing a music benefit for us, and Bill Maher already has done a comedy benefit for us. So we're reaching out, and we have one person in Hollywood whose sole job is to connect celebrities to MPP and get them activated.
Oh, great. Well, I'm just privileged to have you on the show. I'm trying to think, is there any last thing before we close here that you would like to leave with the people in Louisville?
I would just say, just to get on our email list. The Marijuana Policy Project is the largest organization in the country that's focused solely on ending marijuana prohibition. Norml has better name recognition, and they've been around since 1970. We're larger than them now, and we keep our fingers on the pulse of every state legislature. We know what marijuana bills are pending in every state legislature in the country at any given point in time. So it's plugging in with us is just an easy way to keep track of what's going on around the country.
Well, I'll say this much. Again, I've heard of Norml for years, and I've just been very impressed with the work that you guys have done. It's like amazing. It's like, how can these people be so effective, or seem to be so effective at something where other people, they get a little steam up, or a group will get some steam up, and then all of a sudden, over a year or two, they dissipate. And it seems like you guys have put one block and then the next one on top of that, and you're going for it.
We are. I mean, it is building. I mean, we've been building our team for 11 years. This is not an overnight project. This is long term. I mean, I actually, served time in jail for marijuana when I was in college, and made a 20-year commitment to the cause. I thought, I'll work on this for 20 years, and then I reserved the right to quit. And
so how many years are you?
I've been doing it for 16 years total.
Oh, wow.
So, but I'm going to be at it for longer than
good
before, because I feel like there's victory in the air, and I don't want to leave when, I could possibly taste the fruits of our labor. So I'm in it for the long haul, and I'm hoping, actually, we have a lot of good people on the MPP staff. I'm hoping that everyone in our office stays for the long haul, because I think things are only going to get better. Our progress momentum is on our side, and it's a good time to get involved.
Rob, thanks so much for being with us, and thank you so much for all the great work you're doing on behalf of all Americans.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
For some final announcements, we have, once again, Executive Director Alan St. Pierre. Thank you, Dominic, for getting us here this evening in a nice, tasteful, way. I'd like to ask John Nicholson to come on up here. I see Bill Kanzer's here with his guitar, and we're going to pick out, I guess, at least maybe one more song here. And we've got an award here for John. I mentioned earlier how important it is, I think everybody agrees, the culmination of cannabis and culture. And John, you